The Young and the Restless spoilers. A deafening blast ripped through the quiet pre-dawn streets of Genoa City, shattering windows and sending shutters crashing onto splintered porches. Smoke billowed into the sky like a funeral plume, obscuring the rising sun and bathing Victor Newman's estate in an eerie orange glow. Fragments of concrete and glass littered the driveway, and the once immaculate hedges were scorched and trampled. From his study, Victor, still dressed in the tailored suit he'd worn to yesterday's board meeting, hurried toward the chaos, heart pounding. He rounded the corner of the foyer just in time to see his security detail scrambling to contain the mayhem. "What in God's name happened?" he barked, voice raw with fury. The men exchanged tense looks. The explosion had originated from the direction of the Dumas estate, Aristotle Dumas's sprawling French-style villa that even Victor had once considered a refuge in friendlier days. News had spread overnight that every prominent name in Genoa City would attend Dumas's lavish Mediterranean-themed soiree that evening. Emails had flashed across Newman Enterprises, Chancellor Industries, and Jabot headquarters, invitations glittering with promise. Yet what Victor saw now was not the hum of excited preparations but the smoking ruins of Dumas's facade, and a city in shock. He realized then that Dumas must have known exactly whom he was drawing. The city's most powerful, eager to bask in the glow of connection. Had they not feared retaliation? Or had their desire for spectacle blinded them to the danger? As first responders surged past him, Victor's gaze snapped to the front gate. There, stepping over broken wrought iron and trampled flower beds, was a lone figure in a dark hoodie, silhouette stark against the firelight. He moved with deliberate calm, as though he belonged to this apocalypse. Victor instinctively reached for the surety of the pistol secreted beneath his desk, a precaution he rarely employed, but was stopped short when the figure slipped inside the shattered glass doors without hesitation. Security hesitated, then let the man pass, uncertain whether to act. The intruder stopped within arm's reach of Victor. With a flourish that seemed almost theatrical, he yanked the hood down and peeled off a mask that revealed the weathered yet unmistakable features of J.T. Hellstrom. Victor's breath caught. He had believed J.T. dead to their feud, a rival who had once tried to ruin him in the courtroom and on the streets, an adversary whose schemes had metastasized into bitter personal retaliation years ago. J.T.? Victor croaked, hand shaking around the gun's grip. "What are you doing here? We ended this war a long time ago." J.T.'s lips curved into a grim, humorless smile. Smoke curled from his nostrils in the cool air. "Ended?" he repeated, voice low and dangerous. "You think you ever beat me? You think you ever put me down for good? The play has only just begun, Victor. You're still the leading man in my revenge." He paused, letting the weight of his words settle like ash around them. "Sit back, watch, and wait. Dumas's fireworks were just an overture. You haven't seen anything yet." Before Victor could respond, a second explosion rocked the property. Smaller than the first but closer, reverberating through the lawn like a vengeful heartbeat. Security men dove for cover as a third blast tore through the garage, sending Victor sprawling to the ground. Through the smoke and dust, he saw another figure hurtle into the foyer, a woman, hair wild, coat torn, eyes blazing with panic and determination. She lunged at J.T., tackling him to the marble floor. The two of them thrashed amid shattered porcelain vases and scattered family photographs, and Victor realized with dawning horror that the woman was Phyllis Summers, drawn here by some secret connection to J.T.'s scheme. Phyllis screamed at J.T., voice breaking, "Leave him alone. This isn't about you anymore," but J.T. twisted free, kicking her away like a rag doll. He rose, pulling a pistol from his waistband. Victor scrambled to his feet, gun still in hand. "Stop this," Victor snarled. "This is my home, J.T. You're nothing here but a criminal." J.T. leveled the barrel with surgical calm. "Your home? Your empire built on blood and deceit?" His finger curled around the trigger. "Tonight, we burn it all down." But he hesitated for a breath too long. In that split second, Phyllis dove at his side once more, knocking the gun aside. In the struggle, both of them stumbled backward toward the shattered front window, crash-landing into the broken glass. Victor seized the moment to disarm JT, wrenching the pistol free. He held it now squarely at JT's chest, gaze cold and steady. "It stops here," he said. Before Victor could pull the trigger, sirens wailed in the distance, Genoa City Police Department racing to the scene. Spotted headlights flooded the foyer, and Victor lowered his arm, knowing this battle would soon be fought in court more than on these cracked marble tiles. JT glared at him from the floor, blood trickling from a cut above his eyebrow, and spat, "You think handing me over to the police will stop me? You've only given me a new stage." Victor backed away, holstering the gun as officers swept in, cuffs at the ready. He turned to Phyllis, her coat torn, face streaked with dust and tears, and saw in her eyes the cost of all this: lost trust, shattered alliances, the way personal grudges had erupted into open warfare. As JT was hauled away, snarling that the real show awaited them all, Victor looked out through the smoking ruins of his once proud estate, knowing that more calamities would follow. The intrigue he had believed long buried now stood alive, breathing vengeance into every crevice of Genoa City. In the wreckage, only one thing was certain: the curtain had risen on a drama far darker than any boardroom deal or party invitation. A drama where every player was both prey and predator, and no one would emerge unscathed. The pre-dawn stillness over Genoa City cracked like a pane of glass the moment the first explosion erupted at the edge of Victor Newman's estate. A concussive blast shook the walls of his study, rattling family portraits and sending shards of crystal tumblers spinning across the marble floor. Victor, freshly returned from a late-night board meeting where he had mediated a tense truce between Chancellor Industries and Newman Enterprises, felt the impact in his bones before he heard anything more. He stumbled into the grand hallway, the patterned rug buckling under his feet, and found his security team scrambling for cover amid the smoke that began to curl beneath the front doors. In seconds, a second blast detonated in the garden beyond the fountain, flinging debris high into the sky as the masterpiece boxwood hedges that had defined the property's perimeter were reduced to charred stumps. Victor's breath caught. This was no random act of terror, no stray gas leak or malfunctioning generator. This was targeted, deliberate, and personal. Before he could draw a weapon, the main doors crashed inward from the force of another detonation, and through the dust-laden foyer strode a lone figure in a dark hoodie, silhouette backlit by flickering flames. Victor recognized the gait immediately, deliberate, measured, unafraid. The man reached up and yanked off the face-concealing hood, revealing the lean, hardened features of J.T. Hellstrom. A cold shiver ran down Victor's spine, for he had not seen J.T. since their last bitter legal duel nearly a decade ago, when Victor had bested him in court and driven him from Genoa City with relentless litigation. "JT?" Victor rasped, voice hoarse from shock and exasperation. "What are you playing at? We settled this ages ago." His hand hovered over the pistol holstered at his waist, yet he did not draw it, stunned by the audacity of this intruder. JT grinned, a bitter, humorless expression that twisted his face. "You can't settle with me, Victor. You never truly beat me. You only delayed the reckoning." He let the words hang like a guillotine blade. "The real show is only beginning." Victor's security team recovered their wits and trained rifles on JT, but he held up a single hand. "Drop your weapons," he commanded in a voice soft yet carrying the finality of a verdict. "This is between me and him." His gaze dropped to where Victor stood, clutching the mantel for support. "You're going to watch your empire burn from the front row." Before Victor could respond, a woman's scream echoed through the ruins. Phyllis Summers, who had arrived unnoticed amidst the chaos, now charged down the foyer steps toward the two men. She had once been JT's confidant, had shared his dreams of taking down Newman Enterprises, but something in her had shifted, perhaps a rekindled loyalty to Victor or simply a desperate bid to avert more bloodshed. She barreled into JT. tackling him to the ground with such force that the pistol he carried slid across the scattered rose petals that had fallen from broken centerpieces. Victor seized the moment to lurch forward, pistol finally in hand, and aimed at JT, whose eyes went wide in surprise. For a fleeting heartbeat, nothing happened, until the handgun between Victor and JT discharged with a deafening crack. The bullet caught Victor squarely in the side, punching through his tailored suit and embedding itself in his flesh. He collapsed to one knee, a guttural cry of agony ripping from his throat as he clutched at the wound. Phyllis screamed, scrambling back as JT twisted free and bolted through the shattered entrance, vanishing into the smoke and labyrinthine hedges beyond. Victor fell backward onto the marble floor, his breath coming in ragged gasps, the room tilting alarmingly around him. As the echo of the shot faded, Nick Newman burst through the chaos, drawn by alarmed calls from the estate's security. He skidded to a halt at the foot of the grand staircase, eyes narrowing at the scene before him, his father bleeding, Phyllis pressing a hand to her own forehead where she had clipped herself in the fray, and the muzzle flash on the gun now lying near Victor's outstretched hand. Instinct propelled Nick forward. He dove across the floor, snatching the weapon away from where it had come to rest and pinning both Victor's and his own cries of pain beneath the roar of emergency sirens converging on the estate. "Dad. Dad, hold on!" Nick shouted, tearing at Victor's jacket to expose the wound. The paramilitary precision that Victor had once exhibited in countless boardroom battles was gone now, replaced by a brittle vulnerability. Blood seeped through Nick's fingers as he pressed a wad of cloth. His own cuff, torn in half, to stem the bleeding. Victor's face contorted in agony, sweat and matting hair plastering his forehead. He tried to speak, but only a whisper emerged. "Nick, go, get help." Nick shook his father, urgency coiling in his chest like a living thing. "No, I'm not leaving you," he gasped, adrenaline blazing. "I'm right here." He wrapped the cloth tighter, using his belts as improvised tourniquets, every motion precise despite the rising panic throttling his heart. Meanwhile, the first wave of paramedics burst into the hall, stretchers in hand. One knelt beside Victor, checking for a pulse while another applied pressure to the wound site. "We need to move him now," the senior medic barked, eyes flicking to Nick. "Help me get him onto the stretcher." Nick hesitated, torn between staying with his father and stepping back. Victor caught his gaze and squeezed his son's hand with surprising strength. "Go," he rasped, voice faint but resolute. "Get in." The ambulance. Tears brimmed in Nick's eyes as he nodded and scrambled to his feet, following the medics through the foyer's haze toward the waiting ambulance. Phyllis, shaken and trembling, trailed behind him, eyes darting for any sign of JT. The governor's motorcade flashed its lights on the estate drive, security reinforcements pouring in to secure the perimeter. Witnesses clustered, whispers rippling through them. "He's been shot. It was an accident, or was it? JT got away." Inside the ambulance, Victor lay strapped to the gurney, monitors beeping rhythmically, paramedics securing 4 lines. Through the open rear doors, he watched Nick and Phyllis, small and vulnerable under the flickering sirens. His mind raced, questions of loyalty, betrayal, revenge, and the fragility of power converged in a single moment of pain. JT Hellstrom's single trigger pull had undone years of machination in one violent blast. The doors closed, plunging Victor into artificial light as the ambulance lurched forward. Nick pounded on the side, voice raw, "Stay with me, Dad. Stay with me." Phyllis pressed her ear to the roof, her breath ragged as she listened for any sign of life. The stretcher tipped backward, carrying Victor into the uncertain dawn, while behind them the ruins of an empire smoldered in the rebellious glow of hen's fire. The question that haunted every soul at the scene was simple and relentless. Would Victor Newman survive this blow, and if he did, what shape would justice, or vengeance, take when he returned? For in Genoa City, every wound is an invitation to retaliation, and every misstep becomes a permanent scar on the face of power. The hospital hallways would soon echo with whispered updates on Victor's condition, but the real drama had already begun. A war that would pit son against father, old enemies resurfacing in blood-soaked corridors, and a cast of players whose loyalties would be tested as never before. And as the ambulance raced into the pre-dawn haze, its siren cutting through smoke and memory alike, one truth blazed with uncompromising clarity: no one, not Victor, not Nick, not Phyllis, and certainly not JT Hellstrom, would emerge from this conflagration unchanged. In the ashes of betrayal and bullets, Genoa City would discover that even the most invincible titan could be felled, and that the war for its soul was far from over.